Hello and welcome to Unit 8 of the Lean Construction MOOC. In this unit we will be looking at what is the Last Planner and the Last Planner system, and this is a system that brings together probably a lot of the Lean tools that we have looked at and the Lean philosophy. So just what the recording will cover and the slide deck it will cover. So it's explaining what is the Last Planner system, the steps within the should, can, will, did and learn stages within the Last Planner, and how some examples of that, and then we'll have a short recap on the overall Last Planner. The Last Planner system. So who is the Last Planner? And the Last Planner is people with responsibility. So the Last Planners are those who are closest to the work at the lowest level of responsibility, who commit resources, have the authority to make decisions during planning meetings. So basically the people who are on site, who are the gangers, foremen, or subcontractors, agents, who are standing in the meeting to say, yes, we can do that, or we can't do that, or we need more resources to do that, and I'll have to contact my boss, or we'll get that done, who can make them commitments. That is the Last Planner. So it's, to give example, it's not maybe your operative that's actually doing some of the work, but it could be his ganger or his foreman that actually can make them and understands the work that needs to be done to achieve that task. So it's really getting the experience of the people who are doing the work, planning the work. And if you think about that, people who really know what's involved in doing that work and what's needed for that task on that job is actually putting that plan together, and that's driving into what the Last Planner is. It's broken down into stages, which we'll talk about, but really it's about trying to make commitments, stick to commitments, and making the flow of work more realistic and reliable. So why use the Last Planner? There is some benefits of using it. So those closest to the work know the work best and can plan the work, i.e. the Last Planner, and leveraging on the collective experience of the team to plan the work. Instead of a lot of plans are worked with maybe a project manager and maybe a planner, somebody who's actually driving maybe a planning bit of software, Microsoft Project or Asta or some of these planning tools, software. So really this is trying to get the people who know the work and fully understand it to best plan out all the activities. It delivers bad news early. And what do I mean by that is, why do you want to know about bad news? The sooner you can know about bad news, the more you can do about correcting it and fixing it. If you go out and find something isn't going to work on the day you're actually trying to do that work, then you're not going to meet that commitment, you're not going to get that task done, and that's going to have a knock-on effect to other planned works down the line. So if you can find out there's something needed, the sooner you know the bad news, or we need to sort this out, the sooner better it gives you a chance to actually rectify or minimize the impact of that event or that bad news. So that's why understand, get bad news early is not a bad thing. Some other benefits, so better project outcomes, conversations that lead to commitment. So it drives people, subcontractors, site agents, people to talk, and actually drives commitment. And we'll talk about commitment. Commitment is basically doing what you've said you'll do within a time frame that you said you do it in. It makes reliable work plans so that people can understand trust and actually start trusting that plan of work up there is, if we finish our work, if I'm a Tarmacad contract, if I finish that work next week, then I know that I will, or I likely have that other section of phase of work to complete the following week, so I keep my gang together on this job for this duration of the works. So I build reliability and trust into the actual program, and that does come back to a lot of what we're trying to do. So there is a little bit of text there. So the main things I'm going to look at here. So the Last Planner, what are some of the benefits? So it's the backbone of lean project delivery. Item 2 there is stabilizes workflow and helps towards continuous flow from the Last Planner's perspective. And these are the 5 main things that structures around. It talks about should, can, will, did or done, and then learning. And that's the steps that we will look at going through the next number of slides to actually detail it. And these are all, a lot of these are done currently, but they're not done in this fashion. So this is where the Last Planner comes in its strengths. So this slide is very important. It sets out the last planner process. So on the right hand side we have should, can, will, did and learn. So these are the steps of, you're talking from very high level planning. And then if you look in this section here, the middle section, which has the bubbles, so we have milestone pull planning, so it's pull on the work. Then we have phase pull planning, so this is still very high level, it's all within 4 to 5 months, 3 to 4, so high level. And then we're getting down to make, can work be made, make ready plans, so making it that, getting down to 6 to 8 weeks look ahead. And then commitment plans, looking into a weekly plan, commitment plan. And then you have your daily huddles, and then lessons learned. And this continuous improvement that we talked about within Lean is built into this last planner system. So if things aren't working, finding out why it's not working, we have a 5 whys, we have a plan, do, check, act, are all part of it. And then within the daily huddle, you talk about percentage of promises completed, PPC, resources for missed, reasons for missed commitments, the RMC. So these are gathering metrics I talked about, maybe mentioned, on how or well the project is doing, and then maybe trying to put some corrective action in place. So the next bunch of slides will go through should, can, will, did and learn. So they are the breakdown of what we're looking at from the last planner system. So this slide is should. So this is the work that should be going on at 4 to 6 months look ahead. So these are major milestone planning. So you're talking about maybe making sure you have subcontractors, major subcontractors on board, that the contracts are agreed, what's the milestones, is there environmental constraints that we can't work in this area? If there is, how do we plan about it? How do we phase the work to maybe work within the either planning and environmental constraints that's been placed on the project, and also making sure that we have the right suppliers on board from a highway look, from a 4 to 6 months look ahead. So this is kind of understanding high level, and within this you would probably have your project managers from your key suppliers, making sure they're on board, or they're likely to be on board, and have them in the room understand that this is what we need to, this has to happen before this. So this is the high level phase planning. So then moving down into also some of the phase planning, get into more detail, so you get into more granular, sort of high level, moving down into granular. So you have your phase planning, 6 to 8 weeks look ahead, and it's getting into a little bit more detail, so you know exactly who's doing the work and when they're coming in, and what's their gang is actually going to look like, and what tasks do they actually need to do, what has to be carried out before. Example, piling mat needs to be put in before the piling rig can actually get to site. Then there's some civils works to get access to get in to do that first. These are types of things that need to lead on, and how typically long will the piling rig be there doing that much work? Is it 2 to 3, 4 weeks? That type of detail is what's been discussed here. These tickets are tags which are used, and these could be indicated different colors, could indicate different subcontractors mainly, and you can see that they're being moved along, and the detail what's on these tags are shown next. So basically what's on the tag: the name of the task, what's doing it, what do I need, what activities do we need to be done before I actually can do this, how long it's going to take me to do my section of work, my duration, and then an ID number to track, so a unique ID number to track that tag. And that could come off your project program, because every task, the breakdown of whole detailed tasks, and they're already tagged, and it could follow through on that. Just instead of reinventing, so you can follow that tag task all the way through. And this is a little example of so duration, who's it owned by, and what's the task.